Welcome back to Livie's Lovelies, your inspirational craft channel, and I'm your host, Fam the Fabulous. For more ideas, inspiration, swaps, and challenges, click the link in the description below to join our craft community, the Maker Exchange, on Facebook. Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back, all my artists, creatives, crafters, and makers. Welcome back to the Lovely Lab. All right, guys, so listen, on my desk, as you can see, the sister friends are there, and so today starts the first day of the resurrection of this project. Now, if you recall, I started back, I believe it was in June. I received these somewhere around May, but in June, I started collecting the papers to create the signatures to go into the Sister Friend Journal, okay? And I'll put a card up in the corner to take you back to that, because it's been a minute. Now, if you remember, you may or may not, and for those who are new to the channel and weren't there in the beginning, these dolls, and I'm going to say dolls because they are every bit of a doll. This is a sketch created by SONYA'S here on YouTube. There'll be a link below to her channel. And if I can find a link to this, I will. But I saw she decorated this on her channel, and I was just like, oh, I've got to have one of those. And so she sent me hers. And I was inspired to create a journal exclusively for the creative community, the things that I receive via Happy Mail, swaps and exchanges, and, you know, things of that nature. So this is going to go on the cover. And then our good friend Alicia of Where Baking and Crafting Meets kindly sent me one as well. We all exchange digitals and freebies and things of that nature. So she sent me one as well. So she's going to go on the cover of her very own signature. I believe I pulled, since this was the inspiration for the journal, I pulled fabrics and different materials to create the cover for the journal. So now, before I start showing you that, let me just say this. If you are a part of this creative community and you are blessed to have friends that have no problem dropping things in the mail, and you do the same for them, I must say you're pretty blessed. I myself am extremely blessed. If you guys saw the things that I have collected in the past 2 years, I actually need like a storage box to put everything in so that I could create with. From napkins to ephemera to handmade tags and journal cards and papers and you name it, it's been sent to me. Laces and fabrics, and I'm just blessed. And so I pray that if you don't have someone like that in your life, or you're not a part of the creative community, that join mine. And you can be a part of our very generous community. Also, in the description box is a link to the Maker Exchange, which is my Facebook group. And, you know, you can hang out with the rest of us. It's a variety of different creatives. Those who sew, paint, digital creatives, journal makers, yarn enthusiasts, and jewelry makers. The list goes on. Nevertheless, if you are creative and you're looking for a home to hang out in, or a little lounge to, you know, kick your feet up in and chat about crafting, the Maker Exchange, the link is in the description box below. Now, let's move on so I can show you what I'm going to be creating. Now, as you can see here, I've already documented some of the things that I want to start with. So the dimensions I'm going to need for this journal is 9.5 by 6.5, simply because I need it to be tall enough for the signatures that I've already created in the previous video. And these signatures are, what is it, 9 inches? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, about approximately 9 inches. And then I want to give at least a 1/2 inch or 1/4 inch on each side. So that's 9.5. Just in case it starts slipping and sliding, you know. I may even have to go up to 9 3/4 because I still have to leave room for grommets. I'm not going to sew these in. I think I want to use elastic so that if when I want to take these out, because these will have covers for each of these will have their own cover. When I want to take them out and put something else in, I'll have the flexibility to do so, because again, like I said, I mean, I'm pretty blessed. I have more than enough to fill up these 3 signatures, you know. So let me just show you. So based on this one, and again, she's going to get her own cover inside of the journal on the cover of one of the signatures. These are the fabrics that I pulled out, and I want it to be reflective of me, because this is a journal for me. This is my gift to myself, partially gifted from you guys. Okay. So these are the fabrics that I pulled. So we have definitely the animal print, because why? I mean, I am a northerner. Not to say that only people in the north like animal print, but you know, I'm pretty wild, you know. So then I also have this. This reminds me of like aquatic, of the sea. And it has different, it's purples and blues and gold. So I liked that. And I like to mix patterns. You know, I like to mix patterns. Now here, I think I'm going to use this along the it's not an edge, around, you know, the where it's bound at. I'll lose my words. Y'all get it. Somebody drop in the comments and remind us what it is that I'm talking about. The edge, this part. So I'm hoping to be able to use it on that to provide some support as well. It's denim. It's actually stretch denim from some shorts that once I lost weight I could no longer fit. So they are not, I didn't get my money's worth. So I just went on ahead and cut the legs off and figured I knew I would use the fabric at some place. What is the word for that? Oh my gosh, that is going to kill me. Let me look that up. The spine. Okay, so the spine. I'm hoping to use the denim for the spine to provide some additional support. So we have that. Then I have this cream here. Okay. I'm not quite sure how I'm going to work all of this out. And I'm not concerned. I'm sure it'll come together. And just this little shimmery stuff. This was actually some ribbon that was tied around a gift basket last Christmas, I think it was, from one of my husband's clients who was basically they're just good friends of the family at this point. But I want to put this under the book plate, you know, the cover plate, have it hanging out the side of somewhere. I'll figure that out. And then so that's what I pulled in terms of the fabrics. And then in my last video that you saw, well, my public service announcement, I created this. And I'm going to have to try and figure out a way to incorporate this into here. I'll figure out a way. I'll tear it and make it. But I just thought this was beautiful. And it's going to have a lot going on. But this was a reality, or it was a light bulb moment for me. So although it does look, ooh, I might have to use her for, yeah, I'm going to reserve her for that one. But it's still going to be mix and match. Let me just, for the record, I am not shabby. I'm not really into shabby chic. Not really country plaids, and I don't really care for rustic. I like a mixture of a few different aesthetics. I like hard and soft. I like floral and hard stripes or plaids together. I like shiny and dull, because I think that it appeals to my personality. Like, I'm a little bit all over the place, nevertheless. So, first thing that I need to do, I'm going to put them two together over there. Put her over there with her. Is I need to cut. I'm going to try and get as much done as I can in 30 minutes because I've got other things I got to do. You know, wife, mom. So I'm using this cereal box, okay? Cinnamon Toast Crunch. This is one of Josh's favorite cereals, loaded with sugar. If I ate one bowl of this, one I say. Oh, forgive me, guys. One bowl of this, and it looked like I was going into labor come the next week. Oh gosh, they glued this one seriously. Alright, so I'm opening it up on the seams. Everything is intact, so a little bit of sugar left in there, but by the time I'm done with it, it'll all shake off. Alright, so what I'm likely going to do, I would gesso this, but I think I'm gonna, I'm not gonna do that to this. Why? Because, hear me out, the gesso has a tendency to make it more flexible, softer. It does protect it, but it does have a tendency to make it a little softer. So if I know that this area is not going to show through the fabrics, then I'm good. Okay, so that's what we're gonna do. So I'm gonna pause for a second while I cut out this. Y'all don't need to see all of that. I'm gonna cut this and then I'll start measuring. All right, now at this point I've cut off the edges, right? Depending on whether or not this is the size that you want, and more importantly, this is the width of the journal that you want. This is 2 inches. This isn't going to work for me. I'm going to need 2. This isn't a full 2. It's 1 3/4. How do I know? Because here's the seams. So it stops there. It stops right there. So I would need more so 2.5. Yeah, because this is 1 3/4, and this is where some of my ephemera's in, and it's too narrow. It'll alligator mouth very easily. So with that being said, especially with the purpose of it being to house, not necessarily house, but to display and play around in with my Happy Meal stuff, I'm going to get, I'm going to go ahead and cut this out. Now, if this was a good size for you, then you could leave it like this and just go ahead and cover accordingly. But for me, I'm going to have to go ahead and cut it down. So, one moment. Okay, so I found another cereal box. I went on ahead and cut. It's already been cut down because I think I left it to use. Well, while I was in the kitchen, I had a slice of pie too. Okay, it's a good old patty pie. All right, so enough of the tangents. So again, this is approximately 1 3/4 inches. It's a small amount that I'm going to need in terms of what the difference. But I think what I want is 2 1/4. That's a difference of 1/2 inch. So let me just see how that would feel with 3 signatures. 3 signatures, a folio, and covers on them. And pockets. That should do it. 2 1/4 inches. I'm cutting once, but they say you're supposed to measure twice, cut once. Because once it's cut, it's cut. Alright. Just cut the outside, and this is the extra edge that wasn't cut off from the box, the corner. Alright, and then the next thing I'm going to need to measure is 9.5 inches. So technically, I'm just using my mat here. 9.5 inches is here. So just using the mat. And you use whatever tool you have to measure with. Leave a little bit of room for error. And yeah. And I need my other pencil because this one ain't gonna cut it. That's definitely a need. There we go. 9.5. Let me get the other one. It's not totally even at the bottom. So not on this one anyway, I should say. So I have to leave a little room for that error as well. I have to even that up. So it's 9.5. Right outside of it. With a little room for error, you know. You can rest assured there'll be a mistake in here somewhere. But I'm just bringing y'all along on the journey. I hope that if you guys are inspired, that you'll pull out some cereal boxes, cracker boxes, whatever boxes you guys have on hand. And maybe you don't have a whole lot of ephemera from friends, but you can make a smaller journal. And in hopes of meet new friends, especially in the new year. You know, maybe be intentional about communicating or connecting with someone who you haven't already connected with in the past, right? That? Yeah. Okay, yeah. Okay. Yeah. I mean, everyone could use a good friend. I mean, some of us are a little bit more introverted than others, but for the most part, I mean, I find that some of the most friendliest people are the creatives. And we appreciate one another's company. So maybe be intentional in the new year or closing out this year with, you know, maybe setting a goal to reach out to someone who maybe you know of them in person, you know, in the physical. Maybe they're quiet or something like that. Or online. You know, maybe they don't post a lot. But connecting with others. Not for the purpose of getting happy mail. Gosh, heaven forbid, no. But for the purpose of, you know, forming good friendships. A friend in need is a friend indeed. Isn't that what they say? All right. And this project, I'm bringing it back to life at just the right time because I have found that I have sort of neglected my own personal need for creating. I have abandoned a couple journals, art journals that I typically would have worked in throughout the months. If you look through on the channel, you'll see a number of different journals that I have started and completed, and I haven't really done much of that this year. So I don't know, maybe my headspace was a little different due to the pandemic, but nevertheless, I've got to get back to journaling a little bit more, and using it as an outlet for my creativity as well as real life. Because let's be honest, everything that we think about does not need to be on social media. I've never been that type of person anyways. I really have always relied mostly on journaling and artistic expression in order to have an outlet for my thoughts and feelings. So I'm looking forward to getting back into that, and hopefully you guys will join along. Okay, so we've got that. All right, so this is what we're working with. That's going to be a good size. Let me clear off. We got some bookmarks here, y'all. Some tags. Ooh. All right. Leave it to creative. You just can't put the stuff down. All right, so let me brainstorm and think on how I want to okay. Okay. So the first thing that I want to do, I think I want to cover, I want to go ahead and join them with paper. I don't necessarily need to do like Tyvek, because I think if I use cardstock, it will hold them in place, or it will provide more support. So yeah, that's what we'll do. But the key is to make sure I have it lined up. So pause for just a moment. Let me get some cardstock that I don't mind not being, because it ain't gonna be cute. Okay, so I'm gonna use this because I know I'm not gonna ever use it in crafting. Not this color. No sir. I'm gonna go ahead and cut this down. Let's see. I need one for both sides, and 4-inch strips should do it, right? Three and a half, something like that. All right. 3.5 inch. I'm just too lazy to measure, so I'm just using the end of the cutter because it doesn't really matter. It doesn't. Okay. Now, what's that? What is this? 11 inches? What? Is that really 12 inches? It can't be. Okay, yeah, no, it is. Okay. Why is that 12 inches? I've never seen a paper pad. Okay, I'm off on a tangent here. Sorry. Oh, and the camera is going. All right. 12 quarter inches. I need this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, about an inch. I'm just cutting off the excess. There's really no need to do a thorough measuring. Really, it's not. Not at this point. This is just the construction part. This is not the exciting decorative part, but I figure for those who have not put their own covers together, you're about to find out how. Yes, you are. Yes, you are. Okay. I don't know why I'm trying to get that straight when it's not going to stay there. It's not. Now, I'm going to use... I'm thinking if I... Yeah, I'm going to use wet glue. I'm going to have to use wet glue because... because I'm smart enough to know that I could use... I'm not doing it. I'm using wet glue. Now, you can use double-sided sticky tape, but I'm not going to run the risk of that. Let me get something to put down underneath. Okay. And I'm leaving about 1/8 of an inch, 1/8 of an inch in between. You probably can't see it, but just trust me when I say that. It's about 1/8 of an inch, which will allow the... I should line this up. Sorry, guys. Once you get past this point, everything else is just kind of play by ear. And I'll still be able to move it once I put the paper down, but... And that's a lot more glue than necessary. Okay. So anyways, I was saying I wanted wet glue because it just adds to the strength of the cardboard, the cardstock. I'll wipe off the excess in a bit. Of the cover, I should say. Anywhere where there's the wet glue, it just strengthens it a little bit more. I'm just going to do this one side, show you how it's done, and then that way you'll have something to go on. And then I'll do the other side off camera. Because it's not that crazy of a process, folks. Truly. Really is not. Let's bring it down some. I'm going to flip this over and make sure that everything is lined up, because this is the part that, and mind you, there's glue right there, so don't mind me. See, this is the part. Let's see if I can pull it just a little bit. Okay. And then this one needs to scoot out just a bit and come back in. There we go. Alright, and what I want to do is make sure we're straight down here. And there we go. And whatever's not straight, I'll have to try and cut. But for now, that's fine. And let me burnish. Well, use what you got, folks. And it doesn't have to go all the way down here. That's not important. We can always trim, and as long as the bulk of it is covered. I'm going to let this dry, and then I'm going to do the opposite side. And of course, before I do that, I'm going to go ahead and cut this off. So when I come back, I will have both sides cut, or both sides with the paper down. While this is this way, I need to, let me say that, while that glue, oh, where is it? Oh, it's right here. Where is it? There we go. Just to make sure it can bend. So before it gets totally dry, I'm just bending it. Okay. All right. See it? I was going to turn this off, but I feel a need to come back because I think the easiest way to have done that would have been to do like this. Put the glue down on here. I'm out of practice. I'm a little rusty here, so forgive me if I've overcomplicated this. But I'm showing you what I can in good faith, in hopes that it can be of help to you. Okay? That's the better way to do that. And that way, you just put it on top. Oh, it's already lined up and laid where you want it to go. Oh my gosh, that would have been a lot easier. So as you can see, you use it or lose it. And I almost lost that little bit of knowledge there, folks. All right, so let me get my scraper, which is this. This thing is so instrumental in my everyday crafting life. Dollar at Dollar Tree. Oh my goodness. No, I'm no longer using old credit cards, hoping that the number don't show in videos. Even use it kind of a score. And make sure there's glue. There. Yeah, and there it is. Okay. And this just helps get the glue on down into the cardstock. Okay. I have to cut that off. But for now, we have the what do we call it? Here we go again with the, can't remember the, let's put some glue here and I'm just going to wrap it around. Reinforce that a little bit more. Ain't going to hurt nothing. Well, it might hurt something in terms of being able to, yep, no, let me pull that out. That would be the only issue there. Is whether or not it interfered with you being able to close it. Now, which way are we going with that? We are going this way. So, we're good here. We are good here. Good sized journal. Once we put the fabric, a couple of layers of cardstock on these sides along with pockets, it'll be much more sturdier. So, stay tuned for step 2. Okay? Okay, so now at this point, I'm going to go ahead and cover the outside of the journal. And because I am going to have I have denim that's going to cover the spine. I think I've already cut it. Let's see. This is it. I think this is it? No, this might be. Nope, that's not it. Oh, here it is. This will be the spine. This will cover the spine. So it's going to give me about approximately an inch. I have an extra inch. That means that I'll just start from about here, okay, with my paper. So I've already selected a few papers to go on the outside. So this is for the front cover, and then this is for the inside. This is I'm going to use on the front cover. This is going to be the inside for the front cover, and this is going to be the back cover. So, and I'm using a heavier cardstock for the back because the front is also going to have additional layers on the top. So, but the back won't. All right, and so, and this will be the inside back cover. So I'm going to move these off to the side. And trim away enough just for the front covers, all right? All right, so it's 7 inches. I probably will use this somewhere in the journal. Perfect. Pierce is always a good idea, it says. It really is. I just haven't had an opportunity to implement it, you know? All right, and so actually, before I cut that away, you know what? I should have cut that wider. Sure should have. But the good thing is that I cut it pretty much longer than I was going to need it. So I should be fine. Yes, it'll still wrap around. I'll have a little bit to wrap around and that'll be fine. But what I think I need to make sure that I do is cut the top and bottom. Make sure I have enough on the top and bottom. So, all right, so this is 9.5, so I'll need, I'll do 11. I'll do 11. 9.5, I said. Half inch. Yep, I'll do 11. So, not that part. Do 11. Yes, this part. Excuse me, y'all. Okay, I'm out of practice. It's all right. All right. 11 inches. And I want to keep this blue. So I'm going to turn this the opposite way. And 11 inches here. I could have went smaller, but better safe than sorry. You know, you can always cut it away after you get finished gluing it in. But you can't add to it, you know. Okay. All right. So, the more we make, the more scraps we have. All right. So, because next thing I want to do is start gluing. So this is going to go on the back cover. I'm going to leave this up front. And this is the front cover. So I want this like so. And making sure that I have enough to wrap around. Do I need that? Not as much. But better safe than sorry. So an inch needs to go right about here. Perfect. All right, so I'm just going to pull out the glue. Wherever it may be. Wherever it may be. This is too loose. It'll warp. All right, that one. I really could have just pulled out some other glue. Let's see. I think this might work. Let me test it just a second, guys. Okay, this one should do the trick. I'm gonna glue on. This is the front cover, so I'm gonna glue off to the side because that's where my glass mat is. So, and because this is the front cover, I don't really need to use my paintbrush, but I do want to make sure it gets to the very edge. So that I can wrap it around. All right, so that's the top. I want the blue showing, a little bit of that blue showing. And I'm just going to press that in place and move on to the next part, which is the back cover. Let that set for a second. All right, let me grab something just to smooth it out under there a little bit. Now, if you don't have the glass mat well, if you don't have a glass mat, make sure that you're protecting your surface from your glue. And if you do happen to get some on your surface, get it up. Make sure you have a baby wipe or paper towel or something like that. Certain glues will pull up finishes on your surfaces. So, and sometimes take the color with it. So, that's just a little tip there. Not all glues are created equal. All right, so we got that one down. Got the glue underneath smoothed out. And I'm going to let that, actually, let me clean that. No. Let me clean that up. I'm just going to come along with a dry paper towel just so that this is not touching my mat. Now, if I was off camera, I would just let it dry. while it's over here without pulling off the excess glue, because I'm always multitasking. But for now, we don't have that kind of time. Gotta clean it up so we can keep moving. All right, so on the opposite, oh, that was a lot of glue. Which is okay. It's perfectly fine. All right. So now, let's do the back cover. And now it will warp depending on how wet that glue is. It'll warp a little bit, but don't worry about that, especially if it's the front cover, because you're going to cover it with a plate, assuming you're going to cover it with a plate. You have a plate to cover it with. So, all right, so I'm going to do the same for this side. This is cardstock, so this wet glue won't warp the paper that bad. If it does, it'll still dry up. It'll be fine. But you do want to make sure you put a decent amount on, not too thick with the wet glue, because you don't want it puddling underneath. So a decent amount, as you can see. All right, it's the same on all parts. I'm just going to pull this off to the side. And then position it where I want majority of the image showing, and keeping in mind that I need enough space on both sides to wrap around to the inside. I'm going to pull that. Let me see. Yeah, that should be enough. All right, so that's down. If you have a thicker glue, I would suggest using a paintbrush to smooth it out before you put your paper on, especially if you're using a thinner designer paper and not necessarily the cardstock, although you probably want to do it with the cardstock as well. But just make sure you just go ahead and burnish the glue down. Make sure the paper is in place. And I'm just doing this to make sure I have even coverage, that it spreads underneath before it begins to dry. Okay. Now, I have this like this, but it's not going to stay like this. I'm going to, now I'm going to go ahead and lay down some additional cardboard, which is just from cereal boxes, because I want it a little bit thicker. Okay. The back, I'm not worried about. I mean, it's going to be thicker. It's going to be a little bit more sturdier anyways, but by the time I get finished adding, oh, wait a minute. That's upside down. That is upside down. Oh my gosh, let me go ahead and, yep. Yeah, let me pull that up. That may have compromised it. We shall see. We shall see. Now, as you can see, paying a little bit close attention to things would not have hurt us, right? So just, you don't want to do what I did. And prayerfully, this won't be too lumpy. If so, we have all learned from my mistake. All right, let's try this again. I may very well, if it's a little lumpy, I'll just stamp on top of it and give it some extra interest. Oh, no, I think we'll be fine. I think we'll be fine. Okay. So let me take this, finish it down. Yeah, I probably, no, it'll be fine, but I will need to come back and add some extra stampings or something like that on there to camouflage it. So just in case you run across this problem as well, and you do have the opportunity to pull it up before it dries, don't worry about whether or not you can see some of the glue. And even if this is not the case, and your situation is where it ends up warping a little bit, that's what stamping is for. It's a little stenciling, and you can camouflage it very easily. So I'm glad that we got that little issue, that it actually happened on camera, and we could address it on camera. because I'm sure somebody's going to have the same issue. All right, so this one is, I'm going to add additional cardstock like I mentioned a few minutes ago. And let me get some of this glue up. That's not cute. So this is the front cover. That's the back cover. Oh, okay. Let's try this again. Front cover, back cover. Yeah. All right. I'm gonna get a paper to another wet paper towel to clean this up. Okay. So now we are at the place. That's crap. Now we are where we can go ahead and glue down the inner cover. Some of glue. I'm gonna go ahead and now there's going to be another layer that gets glued down on top of this, a layer of paper. So you don't have to be fearful of not having too much glue. Just make sure you have a reasonably secure down. You can also use double-sided tape. And I'm being careful not to go too far over to the edge because if I cut it just the size that I wanted it, but when I cut it, I made sure that, press this down a little bit, made sure that once I folded it like this, it wouldn't compromise the ability to open and shut it. So just keep that in mind if you are adding an additional layer of cardboard, okay? And this thing is a lifesaver, this little doohickey here. I'm telling you, the Dollar Tree is really making it easy to stay out of Hobby Lobby and the other craft stores, craft supply stores. Do the same to this opposite side. And I hope this sticks because it's shiny. But even if it doesn't, it's another piece of paper is going on top of it to keep it in place anyway. So, pattern paper. So it shall be fine. Okay, and bring that in just a smidge. All right, let's make sure. Oh, okay. I'm just holding it in place because the glue is wet and it's on top of a shiny surface, so it will slide a bit before it dries. All right, so before I do that, I'm just going to bring all of the edges up a little bit while the glue is still wet under there. I'm not going to actually fold it up and fold it all the way over, but I'm just breaking down the fibers. There we go. Sorry, I was concentrating a little bit there. All right, and so hope you can see this here. Now what I'm going to do is I am going to miter the corners so that it folds well. Being careful not to come in too close. You want to leave about 1/8 of an inch away from the cardstock. Yep, that should be fine. Not cardstock, the cardboard. About 1/8 of an inch away from the cardboard. You can go more and just trim down as needed, but you want to start off with more, not less, because that is definitely an area where the cardstock will show if you don't do it correctly. All right, so I'm just gluing over here on the glass mat so that it doesn't hit my regular mat. So I'm just going to take a little bit of glue and go around the edges and begin to fold this side up. I'm going to hold it in place just so that it can be secure. Once you have that in place, go to the opposite side and do the same over there. Or you could do it where you do this side and then do the outside, but that's totally up to you. It's no specific way to get that done. Okay. All right, we got both sides down, and now let's get the last side. That could have been mitered a little bit better, but it's okay. I'm just pushing that up against the edge. Where the glue is at, so it can give a little bit, you know. There we go. Hold it in place for just a second. The wetter the glue is, the longer it'll take for it to hold and secure itself. So just be patient with it. I'll do the same to the opposite side and come back, okay? Okay, so we have the front cover done, the back cover done, all right? Now what we want to do is taking those two last pieces for the inside covers. I'm going to go ahead and cover the inside. But before I do that, I'm going to go ahead and lay down right here a piece of paper to go right in the center. Okay. And that will prevent, and then that will also alleviate us from having to use up so much of the cardstock to cover the inside. So this is just one of the pieces of scrap, remember. And I am going to draw a line of where I want to cut the cut to end. Oh my word. Okay, just gonna use my scissors to get that. Now you can use cardstock, you can use regular paper. One thing I will say is that if you're using regular pattern paper on both sides, cardstock will prevent you from seeing the creases. But I'm not really worried about that because it'll probably be pockets on the inside anyways. So I'm just going to put some glue here. And remember, this is going to have the spine on it, and the spine is still going to wrap around in here. So the fabric's cover for the spine. Still going to wrap around. That's a little, cutting it a little close there. Cut a little bit of this off. Okay. There we go. Although I could use that. I think I like that side better, this side better. I don't even think that I realized that it was two-sided. Okay. Okay, now once you have this laid down, it's important that you make sure that you get that seam worked in. Leaving, break down the fibers while it's still wet, while the glue is wet underneath. So get a credit card, a bone folder, whatever you have to to make sure that, wait a minute, to make sure that you get into the crease of where the seam is at. Let me slide this over here. Just get a little messy. And I'll show you what I mean by that in just a second. Okay. I find that sometimes when the glue is really wet, your best bet is to put it down, give it a second so it can soak into the paper a little bit, and then begin to smooth it. If you're dealing with like a school glue type thickness. All right, so I'm going to take this little embossing pen, and I'm just going to very gently go into the creases. Working very gently, working it so that it folds with ease. Because you don't want it buckling. Do the same for the opposite side. And again, you want to do this while the glue is wet, relatively wet. Go gentle. And it won't tear the paper if you're gently working the fibers down. And once you do it like that, I would suggest finding a place where you can set it up closed so that it doesn't, when it dries, that the fibers don't shrink back together. It just needs time for the glue to dry and everything to take shape. Okay? So there is no there's no buckling in here, and there's no tears in here. So I'm going to leave this for a second, just for a second. And while we're waiting for that to dry, I'm going to go ahead and measure the outside once again so that I can go ahead and cut paper. I think that was 9. What did we say? 9. We're going to go 7 inches. Yeah, because it's wider on the inside. 7 by 9.5. All right, so I'm going to set this off to the side. Let that dry, just while it's wet, just let it dry a little bit. And we got these two 7 by 9.5. I'm not concerned about what it picks up. It'll be fine wherever it's cut. So I'm just going to go ahead and get the cutter, get to cutting. So it's 7. All right, guys, let's work together here. No one's more important than the other between the papers. Okay. I think we're pretty much done with the construction of the cover. Perfect coverage. Perfect coverage. This is going to go on this side, and this is going to go on this side. So here we have it. I'm going to go ahead and glue those down. Give me just a moment. And just be sure that you get it to the edge. Not too heavy because you don't want it squeezing out and then ruining the inside cover, but just enough to get it down. I'm going to take my time and line this up around the edge. Just going to stand up for a second there. Okay. There we have that one. Go ahead and I'm going to bring this down. Oh, I got a little glue there. It's not a problem. Another little paper towel won't help. And again, remember you can always use double-sided tape in areas where you feel, you know, you're not that confident with the glue. Okay, so we are done with the cover. So here we have the front, the insides, and the back. Now the next thing we'll do in the video coming up is we will work on the cover for it, the cover plate. It's actually not going to be a plate, obviously, because it's going to be mostly fabrics, and these are the ones that I have pulled. And as I showed you before, this is going to go on the seam, or the, how many times am I going to have to go through this? The spine. This will go on the spine. And then I also pulled out this vintage piece of lace that has some beading work on it. This is from a wedding dress, I believe, from a while ago, a long time ago. This was gifted to me in some Happy Mail a few years back by my good friend Diane in our Maker Exchange group. So I'm looking forward to incorporating that in there. I do feel that I have a little bit of a vintage or true vintage vibe, a little bit of 20s, and you know, trapped inside this old girl here. So that is what we're going to work on next, so stay tuned. If you're just getting started, go ahead and pull out your papers and let's get it ready to decorate the cover. All right, and then after that we're gonna go ahead and start adding our signatures. Although, let's think about that. Should I do the signatures first and then do the... No, I think I can... Yeah, I think I can do the cover relatively without issue. Even if I just actually create the cover plate and then add it on afterwards. Either which way, we're working on the cover plate next, okay? So stay tuned for that. Thanks so much for watching, and those who are new to the channel, now is a great time to hit the subscribe button if you have not already done so, because you don't want to miss any part of the series or any other videos that pop up on the channel. So that being said, guys, stay encouraged, stay blessed, stay creative and crafting. Bye for now. If you enjoyed this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. Hit subscribe to join the crafty community, and be sure to click the bell for notifications of new uploads. Thank you so much for watching. Now stay tuned for more from Livie's Lovelies, your inspirational craft channel. Bye for now.